If you're moving to Austin for Tesla, there are three areas you're probably being told to look at right now: Westlake, Round Rock, and Manor. And they each sound like they solve a different problem. Westlake sounds premium and close to the city. Round Rock probably sounds safe and suburban. And Manor sounds like the closest option to the Gigafactory. So the real question is not which one is best. It's what does your actual commute and your day-to-day life look like from each of these areas? Because on paper, they all make sense. And in reality, they feel pretty different once you're really here in Austin. I'm Amber Haley. I help tech professionals relocate to Austin, Texas. And here's how these three actually play out for Tesla employees specifically. First up, Westlake. On a map, looks like a strong option because you're close to central Austin, good schools, and you're not that far from the Gigafactory in terms of distance. But the commute depends heavily on timing and traffic flow. You're usually looking at somewhere around 25 to 40 minutes in the morning, depending on when you leave. And small timing differences matter a lot here. So if your schedule is consistent and you leave early, it can work. But if your timing shifts at all, the commute stretches pretty quickly. And the bigger trade-off is cost, because you're typically in the $2.5 to $3 million range in Westlake. So you're paying for location and schools, not convenience to Tesla. Next, Round Rock, which a lot of people recommend because it feels like a practical middle ground. It's more affordable than Westlake, more established than areas east of Tesla. And on paper, it looks closer, but the reality is the commute depends almost entirely on I-35. And that's where things break down, even early in the morning when you're dealing with construction zones, merging traffic, and inconsistent speeds. So what looks like a 25-minute ride on a map can easily turn into 35 to 50 minutes, depending on the day. And that lack of consistency is what most people really underestimate, because it's not about time. It's about being able to rely on your schedule. Then you have Manor, which is the closest of the three to the Gigafactory and the most straightforward commute. You're generally looking at around 15 to 25 minutes, depending on where you are and what time you leave. And the bigger difference here is consistency, fewer major bottlenecks, fewer merge points, and a more direct route. So even when traffic builds, it doesn't swing as wildly as the other two. And from a price standpoint, you're typically in the $450,000 to $500,000 range for a new construction home with more space. So on paper, Manor usually wins for both commute and value. But here's the part that I think actually matters and where people get this wrong. Your decision should not be based on commute alone, because your life in Austin is not just your drive to Tesla. It's where you spend your time when you're not working. And this is where these three areas feel very different. Westlake gives you access to central Austin and a more connected lifestyle. Round Rock feels more suburban and removed from the core of the city. And Manor, while efficient for commuting, is still developing and more limited in terms of what's immediately around you. So what ends up happening is people pick based on the commute first and then realize their daily life doesn't match what they actually want. And that's why you see people move within their first year relocating. So the real way to think about this is not which one is closest, it's what trade-off you're willing to make. If you want the shortest and most consistent commute, Manor, clear winner. If you want access to the city and you don't mind variability in your drive, Westlake makes a lot more sense. And if you're looking at Round Rock, just understand that your commute is going to depend really heavily on I-35, and that's where most of the unpredictability comes from. And then there's the financial side, because at $200,000 to $300,000 income, you can technically afford all three, but they behave very differently long-term. Westlake is a high-cost, high-entry point decision. Round Rock sits in a more typical suburban range, and Manor gives you more space and newer builds at a lower price. So depending on whether you're planning to rent first or buy right away, that changes how much risk you're taking before you even understand your routine. So if you're moving to Austin for Tesla, trying to decide between those three, don't just look at distance on the map. Look at how consistent your commute is going to be, how you want your life to feel outside of work, and how much flexibility you want in your first year here, because those three factors matter more than just picking the closest option. And if you want help thinking through all that based on your role, your schedule, your income, that's what I do. I have tech professionals relocate to Austin, Texas. There's a link where you can reach out to me in the description. I'll point you in the right direction. Don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every single week. I can't wait to see you in Austin.